Alright, hey, welcome back to Car Talks, where I rant, ramble, rave, and word about my thoughts on training, life, and fitness. And thinking a little bit about today, consistency in your programming and or muscle confusion or whatever that people like to call variety in their training, right? Been working with an individual now for almost a year. They really like a lot of variety, but it might be one of those things that's hindering results, right? Like there is a progression or an overloading principle that we can use to get to where we want to go, right? We chase adaptations. And one of the things that we got to think about is to create an adaptation, we also have to have exposure. We have to have exposure to a certain stimulus. And that's one of those things that if you're in your training, changing up exercises every single week, you might not get to where you want to go as quickly. Now, obviously, there's two sides of this coin. We have the get results quick, which sometimes is good, right? And it can be done. Then we also have the longevity and perspective of trying to keep interest in training and not get bored in training. But, I think if we're changing exercises week to week, right? Or even if changing movement patterns. And I know I've talked about movement pattern selection over just exercise selection. That can be a pretty good way to mitigate, it can be a pretty good way to mitigate the effects of getting bored in training. But if you really want to get after a goal, you're going to have to do some mundane stuff. You're going to have to get used to doing things that aren't always fun. Good training can be boring sometimes. It can be very intense, but it can also be a little boring. That's just the reality of it. To increase your deadlift, yeah, you're probably going to have to deadlift pretty consistently, at least once a week, probably on the same day, for weeks, maybe sometimes even months on end. It's not that, it's a bad thing, but we got to understand that confusion of muscles doesn't really exist, and that consistency in your programming is probably one of the better ways that we can get the faster result that we wanted. So it's just something for you to think about, because all the time we see people just choosing different exercises at random. Random isn't always better. So just a thought, and until next time, we'll see you in the passenger seat.